and welcome to Airheads, a not-so-serious look at the serious business of royal rumours, gossip and gowns. I'm Tom.
And I'm Maeve.
And this week, forgive us if we're speaking a little slower than usual, because we are very relaxed.
Tom and I have spent our weekend having a gong bath.
Our chakras have been opened. We have bathed in the sonic vibrations, and we can't wait to tell you all about it.
So you might remember back in April, Meghan and Harry paid a visit to a little spa in Notting Hill called Ill Apothecary when Meghan was still pregnant, and they spent like 2 hours there, and it's believed that they had some treatments. And then in the Vogue September issue that Meghan guest edited, there was a piece that mentioned Ill Apothecary and recommended the Gong bathing sound meditation class as the ultimate in relaxation. So Tom, being the kind and generous co-host that he is, took us gong bathing for my birthday this week in Ill Apothecary, just like Meghan.
There were only 4 of us in the session, so it was very cosy.
Very intimate.
Yeah.
This is what Ill Apothecary says about gong bathing, okay? Sound frequencies can affect us on a cellular level, influencing how we feel and function. I can't find any details about how this actually reaches us cellularly, but I like to believe. And the whole point of gong bathing is that it uses vibrational sound and frequency to help reduce stress, alter consciousness, and create a deep sense of peace and well-being for better health. So essentially, you're going into this very deep state of meditation and relaxation, and then they start banging that gong and you get bathed in these gentle sound waves, and it's supposed to be very good therapy for anxiety and depression, for fatigue, for boosting energy levels, for processing difficult emotions, and focusing on self-love and care. So it's real ticker stuff, right?
Oh, 100%. I've never felt closer to Meghan. I've never felt more like I could have my own TikTok blog as I did. That's mainly what I was thinking about during this deep state of meditation that I reached.
We arrived at the little spa. It's a very, very, very small shop in Notting Hill where they sell things like face creams and candles and aromatherapy oils and stuff like that. And then they have 2 treatment rooms. So the first room is where we did our gong bath, and it is tiny. Like, there were only 4 of us in this room, plus the leader, the therapist.
Yeah.
A lovely woman. And she gave us jasmine tea to start. Did you enjoy that jasmine tea, Tom?
I did, yeah. I like jasmine tea. Did you?
Wasn't my thing, although very comforting after coming in from the rain. It was lashing rain that day.
Yeah.
And yes, we were just enveloped in this bath of sound and soft blankets and tea. And we were delighted to learn that we were among the first to have a bath with their brand new sun gong that they have just invested in.
This replicates the sound vibrations of the sun, I suppose. It's all about getting in touch with Leo, with opening up your heart chakra. It's great for any problems you might be having with your solar plexus.
Yeah, according to Ill Apothecary, the sun gong is the heart of our universe.
Well, it's certainly the heart of my Saturday morning.
So you've got the sun gong, which purifies with its light and cuts through all the negativity. And then you've got the crystal singing bowl, which Tom thought was just any old bucket sitting there. But no, this frosted quartz bowl with its 432 vibrations is my new favorite thing.
Especially seeing as we have absolutely no clue what 432 vibrations mean. It was very loud. It really was like a wall of sound.
And it's all supposed to help balance out your hormones and to help alleviate stress. So it's kind of interesting in that it was like a very wet day and there was a lot of cars outside, and you could hear the cars, but then you could also hear that warm sound vibration coming from the crystal bowl and the gong. Before we even got to hear that stuff though, we had to put some aromatherapy oil in the palms of our hands. You can buy it in the shop. It's called the Speak Your Truth Aroma Roller, which I love. And it's got sandalwood and rose oil, and you like rub your hands together and then like hold it against your face, and it will help carry you into a positive dimension where anything is possible. And then they gave us a little bit of soothing balm called Calm's Butterfly Balm. And you put that on your third eye and on your heart center, where it will calm both the mood and the mind.
And you finish it up with a lovely lavender eye pillow.
I know. It was supremely relaxing. You lie down, you have all these blankets and pillows. You've got the fabulous eye mask. So it's total darkness. It means your hearing sense is heightened when you can't see. And then the therapist kicks it all off with some chanting, some positive affirmations.
That was so impressive, the chanting.
You are loved, you love.
Oh yeah, and she was saying how to like set your intention for the meditation, which is, something I've heard before, set your intention, and I've clearly been doing it very wrong. But yeah, that was great,
And then from there, 50 minutes of the gong and the crystal bowl and all those good vibrations.
We out here vibing, we vibing, we vibing.
But yeah, the whole thing was fantastic. I felt like closer to Meghan than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, because it was such a tiny shop. You were like, oh my God, she probably reached for this small bottle of oil in exactly the same way that I am, in exactly the same place.
And we bought a little candle, a scented candle, to bring the spirit of the take home with us.
I can see now why Meghan needs these kind of relaxing, soothing breaks, because she has been very busy this week.
Yeah, Meghan, we haven't even seen her this week, but we've heard from her plenty. She was putting in the work.
She was bathing us in the sound of her own voice.
Friday was International Day of the Girl, and to mark it, Sussex Royal shared a video on Instagram featuring clips of girls around the world and also a couple of clips of our favourite girl, Meghan Markle. We had a little bit of her speech at a UN Women event in 2015, which you all probably seen before. And also, my highlight, little 11-year-old Meghan Markle campaigning against sexism in TV advertising.
She's been doing this a long time, guys.
I absolutely love this story. I've heard it so many times. I've seen the clip so many times, and every time I love it. You probably remember it was Meghan as a child complaining about a Procter & Gamble ad for dish soap, and in the ad there was the line, "Women are fighting greasy pots and pans." And Meghan was not happy about this. She whipped out her pen, and in her beautiful 11-year-old calligraphy, she wrote to them and asked them to change women to people, and they did it. She then gave a little interview to Nickelodeon, Nick News, and she said,
"If you see something that you don't like or offended by on television or any other place, write letters and send them to the right people, and you can really make a difference for not just yourself, but lots of other people."
But yes, we got a new voiceover from Meghan on this special video that she made. And she says,
"Keep asking questions. Keep pushing forward. Keep shining brightly. Know your worth, you're behind you, every step of the way."
Beautiful.
I bet she wrote that herself.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was very clever, though, that in using those clips of her from when she was a kid and from before she was a royal, it really hammered home the idea that this isn't an issue that's brand new to her. It's something that she's been working on since she was very little. And also, I was big into this as a new kind of royal working. Lainey Gossip wrote a great piece about this and how traditionally the only way to see royals working is to actually see them. They show up for an appearance and the photos are shared, but when they're not at an opening of something or on tour, you don't get a sense of the work that's being done. Now, though, the Sussexes are using social media to show their work. even if Meghan's not out in public, you know that behind the scenes she's been working alongside their team, planning the social media posts, crafting the messages, recording the voiceovers, editing the clips. So she may not have been out in an engagement this week, but she was definitely working. And Lainey pointed out, you know, those annual surveys they do at the end of the year, and they're like, Princess Anne is the busiest royal because she did the most royal engagements, and Meghan is the laziest because she did the least. But that they're going to need to come up with a new kind of measurement that can include this kind of social work as well, because it's just as important as those physical appearances. You know, how many people are going to know about a member of the royal family visiting some small village?
Yeah, and it's always to like meet someone who's been making jam for 50 years or something like that, you know.
This wasn't the only royal voiceover we heard this week, though, was it, Tom?
The biggest royal news this week was the Cambridges and Sussexes reuniting Fab Four back together to promote the Every Mind Matters programme from the NHS.
Everyone knows that feeling. When life gets on top of us. All over the country, millions of us face challenges to our mental health. At all ages, at all intensities, and for all sorts of reasons. We feel stressed, low, anxious, or have trouble sleeping. Me, you,
your brother, your mother, your friend, colleague, or your neighbour. Waiting, wondering, hoping, hurting. We think there's nothing to be done, nothing we can do about it.
But that is so wrong. There are things we can do. From today, there's a new way to help turn things around. Every Mind Matters will show you simple ways to look after your mental health.
It'll get you started with a free online plan designed to help you deal with stress, boost your mood, improve your sleep, and feel more in control.
It was launched by Public Health England, and it's backed by a few charities, but includes Heads Together, which is Harry, Will and Kate's charity that they started to end the stigma around mental health.
Yeah, and this is the first time that we've seen the four of them collaborating publicly since the Royal Foundation split up, and everybody was freaking out about it, although we don't actually see them together because it's just their voices. I'm sure you've all seen it by now, but it was a little 3-minute clip that aired simultaneously on a few of the major UK TV networks, on ITV and Sky and Channel 4 on Monday night. And, you know, we had a couple of firsts. It was the first coordinated television campaign to run across networks like this, and also reportedly the first ad to feature royal family members. And not just royal family members, we also had Davina McCall, Will Young, Nadia Hussain from Bake Off, Gillian Anderson, and Glenn Close for some reason.
This was wild because when they did the teaser, they released a kind of 1-minute version, and it was royal voiceover, royal voiceover, royal voiceover, royal voiceover. Glenn Close, Davina McCall.
Come on.
The whole point of this is that it's aiming to help people to practically manage the early symptoms of poor mental health. So you're directed to a website where there's this 5-step quiz, which will then automatically generate for you a personalized mind plan. And that's got all kinds of tips related to breathing exercises, actual physical exercises, keeping an anxiety diary, all that kind of stuff. So it's meant to be very practical. And it was directed by Rankin, the fashion photographer, and written by Richard Curtis of For Weddings and Notting Hill and all that stuff. So this is why he was visiting Kensington Palace the other week, what we were talking about, because he was recording Kate and Will's voiceover, and he also visited Frogmore Cottage, although we didn't hear about that, and that's when he recorded Meghan and Harry's.
So we definitely know that they didn't all go into the studio together to record this voiceover, which is a shame. I
know. I wonder, though, is it significant that the point where it segues from Will, because it starts with Will, and the point where it segues from Will to Harry is on the words, my brother? I mean, is that just a literal, and here's my brother saying my brother? Or is it like, we are brothers?
I think that each of the royals recorded the whole thing, and then it was edited together separately. I don't think they were given like certain lines to read, and I think it was probably somebody in the editing room going like, hang on, what about if we change it on my brother?
How tempting it would have been to just use Meghan's whole clip, because Meghan is the standout here, obviously, because she was formerly an actress. But she is miles better than everyone else. Yeah. Once her bit kicks in, it's like, wow, here we go.
I mean, and in the video, all the black and white images start to fill with colour as she speaks, as though the whole thing becomes richer and more vibrant.
Of course. I should say, though, that Kate has definitely improved in her speaking style. I don't think it's really fair that they put her after Meghan.
Yeah.
But she certainly sounds a lot better doing this than she probably would have a few years ago, now that she has a lot more confidence in her public speaking.
Yeah.
Of course, within minutes of the broadcast, the Every Mind Matters page on the NHS website crashed because there was so many people trying to look at it, which is great. You know, that's a very obvious example of it raising awareness, although they should have been better prepared for that level of traffic when you've got the royals on board.
Yeah. I mean, everything that they do ends up selling out or crashing, so...
It is interesting that it's so focused on those early symptoms. So it can seem quite basic. You know, I know when we were saying when we took the quiz, we didn't find the tips would be that useful because it was all kind of stuff that you do already. Mm-hmm. But they're really targeting people who don't make time for self-care at all. And they're hoping that this will help to reduce pressure on clinical services and that doctors are going to be referring people to this as a resource.
Yeah.
I think, though, it's interesting that the Evening Standard reported that they will be adding extra content over time. So there's going to be more material on managing perinatal mental health and advice for parents on how to support their children. So there will be more stuff coming. So I'll be interested to see how it develops.
And Will didn't leave it at that this week in terms of raising awareness for mental health. He also went to the pub to watch the football.
This is so interesting. I mean, I guess it makes a lot of sense given that he was going to promote Heads Up, the Heads Together initiative that's all about tackling mental health in football. And it makes sense to go watch a match with football fans and talk about it there. But I thought it was so interesting to see them realising we should meet people on their level at a pub rather than like bring loads of people into some like sterile meeting room and talk about it there.
Yeah, I liked the details on what everyone was drinking. Obviously, in particular, Will. He had a pint of Aspel's cider. Aspel's is brewed in Suffolk, and they spell cider with a Y.
Of course they do.
I'd like to spell Will with a Y from now on.
Will was accompanied by the Chelsea coach Frank Lampard, and they met a group of football fans, and each of the fans had been joined by someone who had supported them through a difficult time. And some of them were talking about the conversations they had with Will, and one of them was saying that Will has had to change his position in his 8-a-side football team now that he's getting older, and he's had to like give up on his dreams of being a really good footballer.
This is, I guess, the kind of language that you talk about mental health in when you're into football. Is this the code that I just don't understand?
Chelsea, you're having a laugh, aren't you?
We also saw Harry doing some more work for mental health. You know, it's rare that I think Will does a better job of relating to people than Harry, but in this case I was not a fan of the video that Harry made with Ed Sheeran for World Mental Health Day. Like, we got this big teaser for it and everything the day before. You know, all will be revealed, what's going to happen. It looked like Ed Sheeran was going to be going inside Frogmore Cottage with Harry. We didn't know what was going to happen, if this was going to be a big, you know, hour-long thing, or what was going to be revealed. And when it was revealed, it was such a letdown.
Yeah, it was very school drama project, maybe not even.
If you haven't seen it, it's less than 2 minutes long.
Thank God it's less than 2 minutes long.
It starts with Ed Sheeran ringing the doorbell, at which God Save the Queen plays from the doorbell. In a very obviously added in post clip. And the door opens and it's Prince Harry, and he says it's like looking in a mirror when he sees Ed. Which Ed will surely cherish for the rest of his life. But then you see there's a portrait behind Harry, and it's a picture of Eugenie kissing Jack Brooksbank at their wedding. And they're actually in Ivy Cottage, which is Eugenie and Jack's home in Kensington Palace. Which is so weird to me, because you'd think she might have something to do with it in that case. I kept thinking, oh, is Eugenie going to come in? Or they're really just pretending like this is where Harry lives, in this house with a portrait of Eugenie and Jack kissing at the front door and God Save the Queen doorbell playing. I mean, there's got to be somewhere with better lighting. Like, the lighting was better at the very first few seconds of the clip when Ed Sheeran is getting his beard shaved than when he shows up and they go into this dim, dark little room and
mainly lit by a laptop screen.
Yeah. And Ed Sheeran thinks that they're going to be writing a song together to raise awareness about the difficulties faced by ginger people. The most obvious low-hanging fruit joke you could possibly think of, bringing these two together. I mean, the minute that we saw this teaser, I was like, Tom, this is going to be one extended ginger joke. And that is exactly what it is. Because Ed Sheeran says,
you know, I just feel like it's time that we stood up and said, you know, we're not going to take this anymore. We are ginger and we're going to fight.
And then Harry responds,
okay, slightly awkward. This might maybe a miscommunication, but this is about World Mental Health Day.
And then we get a cut screen to Ed Sheeran, like, jamming down on the delete key to remove Gingers Unite that he's written in a Pages doc on his laptop.
It's not even like a pun or anything.
It does end with Harry, on a more serious note, saying,
guys, this World Mental Health Day, reach out, make sure that your friends, strangers, look out for anybody that might be suffering in silence. We're all in this together.
He doesn't even have a complete sentence prepared to end it with. How could they not just re-record it and get him to say, okay, how about we string this all together into a full sentence rather than these little fragments?
Because he was actually trying to do this before Meghan came home.
Really, though? Like, do you think she had any input in this?
No, I think that he presented this to her when it was done and was really proud, and she was like, oh. I'd love to be more involved from the start the next time you do something like this.
I completely agree. Although I have to say, his acting wasn't terrible. So clearly he's been getting cues from all the Suits that he watched.
And probably from the Suits actors themselves at his wedding.
But I feel like Meghan must have cringed just as we did. Like, it's such a missed opportunity. Like, obviously very worthy cause. Clearly going to bring a lot of attention to whatever they do or talk about. But like a ginger joke? Oh, yeah. Come on, guys.
I do think there's a far more articulate spokesperson for mental health that they could have called on, and that would be Kate's brother, James.
Yeah, James Middleton gave a big interview to The Telegraph this weekend where he spoke pretty candidly about his depression, his therapy, and his engagement, because we learned this week that James has gotten engaged to his girlfriend of a year, the French financial expert Alizée Thévenet. I hope I pronounced that some way correctly. We did get the detail that they met after one of his 5 dogs, the Cocker Spaniel Ella, approached Alizée in a private members club called South Kensington Club, and the rest was history, as they say.
That is very 101 Dalmatians,
yeah.
Meet cute. He talked in this Telegraph interview about his suicidal thoughts and attending therapy, and we got the really, really nice detail that Ella goes with him to all of his therapy sessions.
I have just met you, and I love you.
And some of the Middletons go as well, including Kate.
I really liked this detail because you get Kate involved in these mental health charities, but the focus is normally on how she's there supporting Will and Harry. And it's a nice reminder that Kate has her own reasons for being involved in this and raising awareness. He'd said that not only Kate, but I think all the members of his family have, at some point, not always together, attended his therapy sessions with him. And he said that was so important because that helped them understand me and how my mind was working. And I think the way the therapy helped me was that I didn't need my family to say, what can we do? The only thing they could do was to come to some of the therapy sessions and start to understand. So that's a really nice way of shining a light on how people can support.
Yeah, because I feel like you often hear that it can be even more of a burden to be like, tell me what to do, what can I do, how can I help? But he's explaining an actual practical way that you can help without having to put the onus on the person who's suffering to assign you something to do.
Maybe Will should learn a little bit from Kate about how to support a brother.
I know, it made me quite sad because you realise how much closer the Middletons are than the Windsors.
Yeah.
That Kate and her family are so involved in helping James Middleton, and by contrast, there's very little support for Harry. We saw a rogue tweet from Richard Palmer this week saying that Will has dropped Harry like a sack of potatoes. You know, we take that with a pinch of salt. I don't know how true you take that for, but you kind of wish that Will might take a lesson from Kate in how to actually show some support for members of your family who are having a hard time.
Yeah, that made me sad. But the good news is we might be getting a lovely royal wedding. Or royal adjacent wedding.
It might be a good bit smaller and quieter than Pippa's like extravaganza wedding. But we may see the Cambridges there. We will definitely see the Cambridges at Princess Beatrice's wedding to Ado, whenever that's going to happen. In spring, probably.
She is having such a great time in the press, Beatrice, at the moment.
Yeah, this is very curious to me. So, a couple of weeks ago, we had a story in People magazine in which a source declared that Beatrice is already showing that she's a fantastic stepmummy to Christopher Wolfe, Edo's 2-year-old son from a previous relationship.
They've not really been going out that long. I don't know how long it takes to prove your perfect stepmummy credentials.
And now, Tatler magazine has called Beatrice Britain's most popular royal.
I struggle to believe this, really. I don't know if the evidence really stacks up.
She's more popular than the Queen?
So the evidence that Tatler gives, right, is that she's got a millionaire beau who gives her lots of gifts.
That would be very important for a Tatler reader.
But I mean, that only proves that she's popular with him.
Well, that's just one of the things that is making her so exuberant now, according to Tatler. She's also had this style makeover that now ensures she's at the top of all the best dress lists. And there is her new lifestyle, her vegan diet and her spin classes.
And her toffee pals, who have been dubbed the coolest set in town, including Swiss-born socialite Sabine Getty, Astrid Harbord, who's a membership manager for private club Annabelle's, and celebrity nutritionist Gabriella Peacock.
Theodore, Bitsy. What a delight.
They have such an obvious line of what they think is an okay rich celebrity friend and what they think is a tacky rich celebrity friend. And
basically, if you've heard of them, it's tacky.
Or if they're not British and not white.
That too, yeah. But she has been making appearances, apparently, everywhere everyone yearns to be. What could such a place be, Maeve?
How about an Indian billionaire's private party in Kensington Palace Gardens?
Oh, how I yearn to be there.
Some random billionaire's house in Kensington?
Royals should not go to billionaires' parties. Have you not learned anything over the last few months?
I mean, I am interested in what is the point of all this and who is benefiting from this. Like, obviously, Beatrice. And I think it probably is part of we need to sex up Beatrice a bit after her kind of miserable old maid narrative that came to pass when her boyfriend of 10 years married another woman last year. But also, there's got to be something in this for her dad, right?
Oh, definitely. This is a way of showing that despite everything that's being said about him, he has created these perfect children.
Also, given all we know about Andrew's rivalry with Prince Charles, this is coming at a time when Harry and Will aren't getting along, when the Sussexes are getting so much bad press, but Beatrice is universally adored and shining right now. What about your quote of the week, Tom? Who is it this week?
So the quote comes from Elton John. He wrote in his memoir that he witnessed the Queen with Viscount Linley, who's her sister's son. He was being a bit insubordinate. He didn't want to go in and check on his sister when she felt ill at a party. And the Queen had a great way of getting him back in line. Elton wrote, "When Linley repeatedly tried to fob her off, the Queen lightly slapped him across the face, saying, 'Don't argue with me. I am the Queen.'"
She also winked at Elton when she realised that he had been witness to all of this, which he really enjoyed. He wrote, "I know the Queen's public image isn't exactly one of wild frivolity, but in private, she could be hilarious."
That is hilarious.
It was very good.
What about Fit for a Queen?
Oh my god, I think this week we saw one of Kate's best outfits ever. Certainly one of my favourite Kate outfits ever. Kate stepped out this week at the Natural History Museum in London, of which she is a patron, and it was an embargoed visit, but she arrived like a gust of autumn air.
Well, you know what? At least the weather's turned.
Oh, sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Oh, God, I was...
Finally, sweater weather.
She was wearing a pair of khaki culottes from Jigsaw, where she used to work before she became engaged to Will. And then she had a high neck jumper in a burgundy colour from Warehouse. And then she had matching heels from Tod's with a little chunkier heel than we usually see. And a Chanel bag, also in burgundy. It was so super autumnal.
Yeah, it was perfect colours for the start of autumn. And I've been rummaging through my wardrobe trying to match.
Unfortunately, Tom, you're going to have to pick up some culottes because they are the new Cambridge staple. Other than the bag, which was, thousands of pounds, everything else was from the high street and very affordable and actually in season because a lot of the high street stuff she wears is old anyway. Yeah. So this is very shoppable.
And on now to First in Line. I think we're agreed this week.
For me, it's got to be Meghan.
Yeah, me too. There's so many reasons. I mean, primarily, she led us to the Gong bath. But also, she's been breaking new ground with her social media and keeping up with pen pals.
Of course, Meghan has pen pals. I mean, what I would give for a letter in that distinctive Meghan Markle handwriting.
Yeah.
And this girl that we heard about this week has been receiving them for 2 years. So her name is Elena. She's 14 years old. She is recovering from protein beam therapy, which is an advanced form of radiotherapy following the removal of a brain tumour. And she's a student at Nottingham Academy, where Harry visited this Thursday to talk about his mental health campaign. And while he was there, he was talking to the students. And then he took Elena aside and relayed a special voice message from Meghan.
That's such a special gift.
Elena told the Nottingham Post, "I've been sending Meghan letters for around 2 years now, and she sent me a voice note which I got to listen to on Harry's phone. She basically wished me well. It was amazing. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and I've already got to do it. He hugged me at the end too. He's so different to what I expected."
Do you think that Meghan bought a new microphone this week? Because we're getting a lot of audio. She just made the most of Richard Curtis's visit. Hang on, I've got a few tracks I want to lay down. But yeah, she also gave Harry a toy dog for Archie.
So sweet.
So cute. So next week, we've got a few things.
Things. We have got the most complex royal tour in history. Well, in the history of Kate and Will. So the Cambridge tour of Pakistan kicks off today, Monday, if you're listening to this today. Very, very, very excited for all that's to come. Most of the itinerary has been kept under wraps for security reasons, but I'd say it's going to be a good bit more formal than the South Africa tour. So very excited to see what is in store. We'll also see Meghan and Harry this week at the Well Child Awards, where Harry will be presenting an award. And in Tom's favourite event of the week,
we've got the Queen and Camilla will be visiting Westminster Abbey.
Just the two of them, no Charles.
Leave the Charles at home. Thanks so much for listening. If you like this episode, please rate and review it wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at AirheadsPod and on Facebook at Airheads.
And we look forward to talking to you again next week.
Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Bye.
I'm a California girl, so I think all of those hippy-dippy things have been in my DNA, so probably since the womb.